Ladies and gentlemen, grab your tea and get ready for Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
Hey Tracy, hello everybody. I'm just sitting here on my phone Googling, one of the wonderful things about, being able to have cell phones and computers and things like that is that you can Google around the whole world and find out all kinds of information. And so happy you're here today because we're going to talk about something very, very, very important that you probably have not been thinking about this last year. As you know, we've been locked down with the pandemic, and advisory has been don't travel, don't go, even though some of y'all have been all over the world on the beaches. I've seen y'all and I'm like, okay, Lord, just help them. But one of the things that I do know that for your emotional health, you need to get outside. We were not meant to be locked inside, right? So what I want you to do is go ahead and like today. I want you to go ahead and comment today, and I want you to share. Now, what I want you to comment first of all is tell me where your favorite vacation place has been in the chat, because we're going to be looking in there and sharing some things about vacationing. We're going to also be talking about some tips on how to enjoy your vacation, how to be safe on your vacation, how to go on a vacation on a budget. Come on, give us all your tips on how you did it. We know that we are all on this limited income thing, right? And those of us that are not, you probably are saving your money to do something really big, or you just don't want to spend it all in one location, right? So share us your tips. So go ahead and share with someone, maybe ask someone to get on that and tell, girl, you really need a vacation. You need a vacation. With the way you've been acting, you need a vacation. You've been locked up too long. Can everybody help me say, girl, you've been locked up too long? You're going to need to get out, or some people are going to have to lock you down somewhere else. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you stay in the house too long, we used to say we're going stir crazy. Anybody ever had that happen where you just been locked in with the kids too long, or the husband too long? And women, you just need a break. And you feel like if you don't get a break, you're going to break. Anybody know what I'm talking about? So go ahead and share with me where you've been, what was your favorite vacation. You might even want to share some tidbits of do's and don'ts. And go ahead and share, because that's what we're here for. Because guess what? We are going to be taking some vacations, even though we have a pandemic, because we're going to figure out all the little ins and outs. We're going to share with each other. I see Katrina on here, Lady Katrina Haskins. She said, I enjoyed Lake Conroe, an hour away, Piney Shores, nice pools and hot whirlpool. So nice. So, that's not very far away. So there is no excuse for you not to have a vacation. So stop losing it over there. Stop snapping at people. Stop going left, going off. You need a vacation. All right. So we're going to help you today. I tell you, when we're talking about, a couple weeks ago, we did talk about emotional health. This is a part of your emotional well-being. You need to take care of yourself. And another thing we're going to talk about too is who do you go with on your vacation? You ever been on a vacation, you went with somebody, you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm stuck here for a whole week with these people. And I paid my own money to go. You ever been on a vacation with somebody that you're like, Lord Jesus, I cannot believe I'm here. I can't wait to get home. But one of the things that I am very, very popular for, my husband likes it now, but at the beginning he didn't like it. I told him we cannot go on a vacation without planning. We got to sit down and have a meeting before we go on the vacation. He said, that's too stressful. But for me, what is stressful is we get there and then we say, like, where we going to go? I don't know what you want to do. We spend a whole day trying to figure it out. Then you got to get on the schedules. And then you waste a couple of days, okay? So we have got to plan. So we're going to teach you how to plan. Now, one of the things I do, first of all, I didn't bring it in here. But anyway, when I plan my vacation, especially with the pandemic, let me give you a couple of tips. Never go without your sanitizing packet, okay? Pastor goes, what is that in that suitcase? That's all the stuff we got to have to sanitize the hotel room, the rental car, wherever we go. We got to sanitize, all right? We got to take that spray it in the room when you get in there, and make sure that it is clean. If you get in a hotel and you smells dirty and it looks dirty from the very beginning, you need to turn around, because that means that it is not sanitized. And don't depend on the people who clean the room to sanitize your room. Pastor said, I'm sanitizing the commode. And I said, lady, these people have already cleaned this room. They had washed it down. I said, yeah, look at the lady. She used the same towel to wipe off that commode in the other room. She using the same towel to wipe off this commode right here. So you need to make sure that you sanitize for yourself, because you don't know where that rag has been, okay? So what I do when I get in the room, like I said, I always take my sanitizer things. Now, if I fly, what I do is the first thing I do, I drive in to find me a Walmart or CVS or somewhere, and I buy it there, okay? So you got to come prepared. Get you some little plastic gloves like these. They don't cost very much, okay? You put these little thingies on right here, and you spray that stuff all everywhere on the countertops. Okay, that's a very important place. Do you know, you don't know what people laid on that countertop before you got in there. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Kathy from Richmond, Virginia, I see you. Hello, hello, hello. So you got to make sure you're going to act as if, this is what I tell my husband, my family, act as if the filthiest person lived here before you. So what does that mean you're going to do? You're going to make sure that you clean up after that filthy person, okay? So what I do is I go in, like I said, I spray down the thing next to the bed, what is it called, the nightstand stool. I do the phone, the remote control, and everything surface got to go. Then I take it's another thing that I use, got the orange cap on it. Debbie had to help me with the name of that one. But anyway, I spray down the beds. I pull it back to make sure that sheet has been changed. Because one time I went in a hotel and there was a hair in the bed. I'm like, that's not my hair. So I told them they got to come change the sheets. Okay, because somebody didn't change the sheets. I'm not fixing to lay down where there was a hair, and I don't know what kind of hair it was, but it was in the bed. Okay, so they had to come change my sheets. All right, and then I spray that down. I'm going through the whole room, just spraying down, right? And then I get to the bathroom, I spray everything and let it sit for a while. And then I take it and I got paper. You got to get paper towels, Clorox wipes, and this spray with this orange cap. Get the name of it. Lights off. You can't find anything else. And I get those. Those are my 3 things with my gloves. So that's about 5 things, okay? And once you get through spraying everything down, I spray the air vent down, everything, where the air is coming into me, what I'm going to be laying on. When I get in my chair, I put a towel in my chair or a sheet. I do not sit on the seat where somebody else sit. They may have sat there nude, and you don't know what they had, what kind of buggies they got. So you have to put something in the chair, anywhere you're going to sit. Okay, and then in the hotel room, I bring several footies so I don't have to walk barefoot on the carpet. Okay, so those are just some things that I do. Anybody else got anything in the chat that you can tell me that you do? Because Pastor says I'm just overly, but I don't think you can be too clean. Socks and slippers, don't walk on the carpet, and look here. One of the things that we used to do, we haven't done recently because we do the shower. Okay. But we spray down the shower floor. But they tell you to take your thong shoes and wear those in the shower, because you don't know who's got athlete's foot. The feet have a lot of germs and diseases on them that you can get. Okay. All right. So make sure you do that. Anybody else have anything else they want to? Oh, somebody said, Flair says, I bring pillowcases. You know what? If I was close, I used to go to Austin when I was a counselor. And they would, this girl that was always a roommate of mine, she would bring her own towels. And she would sleep on the sheets, but she would bring her own towels. Well, after the last trip I went on, the towels were a little bit dingy. I can understand. I wish I had my own towels, because you don't know if the washing machine has hot water, but honestly, you'd have to have a whole suitcase with your pillowcase and your sheets. But the pillowcase is close to your face, so I can understand that. Oh, there's another one. Katrina says, bring my own air freshener. Now, that's something that I do too. And we got on one trip, but we didn't have air freshener. And you know, you in one hotel room, so when you leave the restroom, you want it to smell good, especially if you're a roommate. But even with my own family, you know, my husband, I'm like, okay, I got some air freshener. When you leave, don't think your stuff don't stink. Okay, you need to spray. Okay. Wait a minute, who is it? Deborah, she need a sleeping bag. Now, Deborah, you have gone too far. But I don't know. Take your sleeping bag and then you just put it on the bed and sleep in that. That's a good idea. If you can't bring your pillow and your pillowcases, okay? So that is wonderful. So we've got some good ideas. I think we're ready now. We got our sanitizing, clean supplies, and also bring several masks. Now, I want to tell you this. You got to get the mask that folds down over your nose. You just cannot get one like that, okay? Because it comes down over your nose and it slides. Now, let me tell you something else. The last trip we just went on, if you're going on a plane, I would say there's 2 masks you probably should wear. But definitely you've got the 95 one, and you do this to make sure that it's very, very secure to your face. It leaves prints on your face, but that's okay. Because what happened to us this last trip, guys, some guys got on the plane and we could tell where they were from, okay? And they had that, what was that on the sheet, 1776, whatever it was, that says they're Proud Boys or whatever. Anyway, so they got on the plane and the lady told them, said, look, you have to wear your mask at all times. So this is what they did. They pulled the mask up. The nurse, she went by, this is what they did. Put it up under the nose like this. And I'm like, you know what? This is crazy. Then when they told everybody to be seated, the flight attendants be seated, they pull it down to here and went to sleep. So on the plane, I'm saying you don't need to have a drink. You don't need to have anything to eat. I told Pastor, keep the mask on. We don't want to drink. We don't want to eat. We're not removing these masks because if the particles are in the vapors are in the air. So if you remove it for a second, you got to breathe, right? You could breathe it in. So just look out for yourself. We sanitize the whole area on the airplane. But when you got jokers like that just don't care, every time she would walk by, they pull it down. They see her coming, they push it up. So I know they knew it was wrong, but they were just defying the law and exposing other people to germs. So you got to look out for yourself. So keep the mask on when you go in the elevator, same thing. People, it says 2 people to the elevator, then here comes 5 or 6 people running to jump in. I'm like, are you serious? So you got to make sure you keep your double mask. They've got these masks now, and I didn't bring it to share with you, but it has Velcro that you Velcro around the back to keep it snug. So you can't accidentally drop it or accidentally fall. You ever been in some place and your mask just falls or the little thing breaks? So this way, if you Velcro it around, and then they got one that goes up on the head that you tie it up on top of the head and Velcro around the back. And we did take the one that Velcros on the back. It's got the little breathing things. But here's the deal. I mean, you're not going to be there forever. So just, keep it on because it's going to save your life. So I thought she was going to say Velcro on your baby hair. No. You put it around your neck. You don't need it on your hair, pulling out your kitchen or pulling out whatever else the Lord bless you to buy. Okay. All right. So let's go on. I want to talk about our trip. Now, here's one of the things that we, the T-Talk team, okay, we have been saying we were going to have, as soon as this pandemic was over, we're going to have this big gathering together, and we're going to have this trip we're going to take, whatever. And guess what? Pandemic, we thought it was going to be gone. It is still here, and looks like it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we thought that we were going to have a big thing in August together without masks and just doing whatever we wanted to do. Did not work. So what we decided to do for Juneteenth, we decided to take a girls trip. And so we got together and we went to Galveston because it was Juneteenth was becoming this federal holiday, right? So we wanted to get out and do something together, have fun. That wasn't too far away. So on a day trip like this, you can get up early in the morning, get yourself packed the night before, head out, go to Galveston. You're there, an hour, and they have some of everything to see. So what we're going to do today is share with you some of our pictures and activities to go to Galveston. Since you're in Houston, then you need to know that Galveston is a lot of fun things to do and plan it. So I'd like for my team to come on and let them say hello, and we're going to talk about our Galveston trip. So good to see you guys. I love you guys, and we have just had such a fun time on Tea Talk, and I wanted them to also know, ladies, that you need to have some friends that you can get away with. I mean, get off somewhere together with. And we're going to plan another girls trip too, and so if you're interested, just let us know. We'll include you as well. But Shelley, why don't you start off talking about our Galveston trip?
Well, I didn't go to Galveston. I was not able to go. I hate that I couldn't go. So can you guys tell me, where was the first place that you all went when you went to Galveston?
Oh, yeah. Who went? Let's see. Tisha, you went?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Tracy, go ahead. Oh, these are some of the pictures. Go ahead. Who's going to talk first?
Yeah, so we went to the county courthouse. That's initially where the slaves were learned that they were free, and so we went there and we observed some of the statues there, and just kind of read the information that they had there.
I love history, so whenever I go to a city, I want to know, where did the name come from? Give me some history on it. So we started there, and we learned a lot about it. Go ahead. Let's see who else went. Tracy, you went. What did you like? What is this?
Well, one of the things that it was such a surreal moment of knowing that my ancestors were there, and unfortunately, they got the news much later than the rest of the nation. But just being there, just in that moment, was so surreal. And then from there, we went to the church, and it kind of reminded me of life in general. It's like, no matter what's going on in our lives, our foundation has always been the church.
Wow.
African American.
And Tracy, let me go back a step too, because some people may not. There was so much at the courthouse. Now, I wanted to kind of give you the significance of that, because there was no cell phone. Most Black people did not have a telephone or access to one, unless, when I was growing up, maybe one person in the community had a telephone and you would go over there, was a party line. Y'all remember those kind of things? Kind of dating myself. So to get the news, you would have to go to the courthouse. And so the news would come by Pony Express, which is why they don't have a mail travel back then. And so they would read different things like this at the courthouse. And so the slaves gathered at the courthouse because they've been hearing about it, and they read the Emancipation Proclamation. And so that's what she was saying, is that standing on the ground where they actually stood was just so surreal. And then the church was real close, and now she's going to tell you about, so they walked around to worship God after the news. Okay, go ahead. This is the church.
Yeah, this is the church, and just being, have an opportunity to see. That's where they went. The believe it was the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Mm-hmm. And then just walking around the building, is looks like it's still the original. It looked like it was still the original building.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Some grades here and there, but they had the landmarkers on there. And that's like, when we went, it was closed. I would love to go and just go inside and look at the inside of the building at some point, so I could really see myself going back and looking.
Yes.
They had a prayer garden, which was really nice and beautiful. But you can tell the building was very, very aged, and that was probably the original with some upgrades here and there. But I would love to go back inside to see the inside and see how that looked. But it was an amazing trip. There's some more pictures of the church. Yeah, just a surreal moment, and of knowing that instead of us celebrating one way, African Americans, this is how we do it. We go back to God, and that's what we do.
Right. And Tracy, you know what? You're absolutely right. I have been inside. What we're going to do, y'all remind me, when Juneteenth, actually on that day, they have a reenactment. Yeah. And so I went for the 100th year celebration a couple of years ago, and we actually, the Buffalo soldiers came and they read the Emancipation Proclamation on the steps, and then we actually marched around to African drum beats and things like that, and went to the church and went inside. And they've got this pipe organ that's, I mean, it's just amazing. The pews were original. I mean, it really is. They did a few upkeeps, but it is a very well made. One of the things that people did back in the day, they made sure their churches were sturdy. It was their lifeline. So they would put all their pennies into it and their energy into it to make sure the church was built as the best house in the city, you know. And the Bible talks about that, you know, my house is looking raggedy and yours is looking fabulous. Something's wrong with that the Lord's house should look great. And it does. So we will definitely go back for that as well next year. Oh my goodness, that's us. So we're gonna talk about losing weight. One of our things.
Just celebrating the fact that we were there. You know, after reading all the facts about everyone being free, it was really, it was a moment. We all kind of had a moment there before we took that picture. So it was nice to share those moments and kind of understand where our people came from.
You know, it was interesting for me though. Coming from New Orleans, I didn't understand the Juneteenth for a long time. So going out there, and I've been to Galveston many times, but going out there with you guys and understanding it and learning the history, it was really nice. It was really nice.
What I think is so cool is that this was June 19th, 1865, and we are still celebrating the fact that the slaves in Texas just learned on June 19th. So I think it's pretty cool that African Americans were still celebrating Juneteenth. You know, we have not forgotten.
Right. And you know what's really exciting about it too, and even while we're doing this today, is because just like Flair said, she didn't know a lot about it. Well, guess what, Flair? A lot of Black Texans who live in Texas don't know what it's about. They just know it's Juneteenth, but they really don't understand what we're really celebrating. And so that's why we wanted to go ourselves. And I think that everybody needs to take their children. In that area that you can read the history. It talks about, you know, Galvez and why it came to be known as Galveston. And also what we talked, remember Flair, how it was connected to all the waterways, to Louisiana, all the different places around. The people, the names that we hear in the city that places are named after, we got that connection and understood how critical this place was and so forth. So it was really something that you all need to see. Now, I wanted to make a comment about one of those pictures because we took it in front of a museum, and I'm sorry, it's been over a month, so I can't remember the name of the museum, but it was a history museum. So we thought we would find a lot out about Black history. Did anybody remember the name of it?
Bryan Museum. The
Bryan Museum. Thank you.
Yeah.
We went inside there, and I was all of this history, you know, about Texas in, you know, all of the Civil War and all that stuff, which was true. People don't think that Texas was in the South, but we were right in the middle of the South, and that's why we have problems we have right now, because that history and that culture is still here, and it's evidence. We just appear to be a lot more progressive, but we are in the South, and we're reminded of it every day when we look at the different laws and things that are going on with African American people. But what I wanted to say was one of our members, that Chase right there, Chase was there the day of the actual, they just made it a federal holiday. So that's why Chase was being featured there. And I wanted to showcase that was really important because he's in that museum. They put an exhibit on there for him in the museum, but it was on the top floor, and really and truly, you know, I thank them for doing that, but it could have been done a lot better. Okay, we didn't really get, I was trying to find a book on Juneteenth, could not find a book.
Nothing, no.
Okay, there was history, and you know, when you look at it, it's like, okay, if this is Juneteenth, you just finished Juneteenth, making it a federal holiday, and there's no material on it that we can get to take back to our kids to read. I asked them, do you have a t-shirt? Do you have any like flyers or banners that we just had this federal holiday thing, and we had this big celebration in Galveston? The lady said, I tried to tell my boss, but he wouldn't buy anything. So they don't think that it's worth, putting in for us to buy t-shirts and things like that. And I said, and I told her, so well, y'all lost a whole lot of revenue. I said, because if y'all had stuff here, we would have bought it. Okay, so just tell your manager that. Now, Ron, tell that. Okay, that's what I was really trying to tell her. Okay, so anyway, other pictures there. Tish, I wanted you to talk about Galveston because you take your kids on a day trip to Galveston where you get a tent and a chair or whatever. Tell me about that trip.
We go often. It's just a nice getaway, and I have girls, so we like to go where it's isolated and we can kind of wear what we want and still be in a private setting, but we get to be by the water and we're just not by a lot of people. And we spend time with each other and, put the phones away because, when they bring their phones, it's like they're not even there. So it's just a nice little vacation for us to bond and, a moment to talk and reconnect. Even though we're in the house most of the time, it's the change of scenery is everything. And I always feel closer to God when I'm near the water. And my children actually take a nap every time near the water. They take a nap at least 2 hours to be able to experience that. And it's really nice. It's a nice little family trip.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to share, too, that we haven't actually gone to the spot that you go to. But I know when we go into Galveston, usually we go left. And that's all the seawall and all the rides and things like that. But I think you were telling me that you go right where it's a little bit more serene. Is it a spot?
I go right.
Does it have a name, or can you tell us about how we can find some privacy or some area that's not full of all the stuff?
When I look on my navigation, it says Freeport. So it's either going to be Freeport or called Surfside. But I go out maybe 20 minutes out to the right. You have to pay a $2 toll. And once you pay that toll, the beach is to the left. You don't have to pay to park anything. You just park right near the water. And, as long as you have, you pack some snacks and things like that, the trip is not expensive at all. I spend less than $50, if we pack our food, and I just get gas and we just head on out.
Yeah. And, that's a very inexpensive, doable vacation. So I want you to say, you cannot say, I got too many kids. You can't get on the plane. The kids don't need to be on the plane. Okay. But you can be safe if you just pack you some. My mama used to do this for us. This was our vacation going to the country. And she would get lunch meat, brunch sprouted crackers, cheese, and we would get the soda water, is what we called it. And we didn't even get water. We just got soda water that. We didn't get fruit. We just had really like cheese and crackers, lunch meat and crackers. And we put it on the cooler and we would head to the country. And so what does it cost you to get some lunch meat and some crackers and some bread? And the main thing is the time you spend together. So I talk about the planning. We're going to talk about some other trips right quick, but I really wanted to also talk about, don't just go, plan to do some things. I think it's great to have that sleep in there, but let's face it, everybody, all the kids all the time don't want to sleep. They don't take that long a nap. At least mine don't take that long a nap. So let's talk anybody else want to talk about Galveston before we leave? I want to get to know some other places we can go before we get to move on. Everybody ready to move on? So go to Galveston, right? And Freeport. And what is that other one where they have, we went to, they take a boat and they take you out on this, starts with a K. What's the other one, guys? Kima. Yeah. The Kima boardwalk and everything down there. We spent the night down there. Went on the little dinner cruise out. I mean, it was so nice. Fun. Yeah, like a little party boat. Even though we don't do all the drinking and stuff. It was just good to get away and different scenery. Okay. And it's affordable, right? So the main thing is to get away and do what you can do. And so you can do that. Now, I know, Deborah, you didn't go that far with your vacation. What did you do for yours, Deborah?
Oh, I didn't go on vacation.
You had a staycation though, right?
Well, I guess you can call it that, but really it was just an annual event that that I have with some girlfriends. And so we just, since we couldn't get together and gather in the house, we gathered outside in the yard and had food catered and, you know, and then gifts, and just had fun and enjoyed each other's social distancing and having our mask on.
Well, I wanted you to share that, because typically you guys go away, you're together, you're having this good time, but you didn't let the pandemic stop you. You just moved it to your yard, your backyard, or your front yard. I remember y'all had all these gifts and parties, and you just had a good time outside on the ground.
Yes, we did. We had an awesome time, and the weather was good, and everybody loved their gifts, made them feel it, you know, uplifted everybody, because I had everybody just to send a special picture. And so what I did is had my daughter to put that picture into a clock. So it's something that they will always remember from the pandemic.
Yeah. So, and you made the pictures and the little gifts and so forth, and the food was catered. So does everybody just chip in of some money so you can cater it? Nobody has to really cook?
Well, usually we do potluck.
Okay.
But this time, since we were in the pandemic, I just had my nephew to cater the food, so that nobody, you know, and had everything just, you know, in the little to-go containers, and that was all, you know, in one thing. The dessert was in one thing, so if nobody would have to touch anybody else. Yeah. Now
that's another tip. When you have different things to eat, if you have them like in your backyard, if you have a pool party, make sure you pre-package everything. Because you know how some people will come and touch and say, well, I wanted ham, and put that back. Now I'm watching. I like to watch the tables. And I told somebody I said, did you just touch that? That's yours. If you touch it, it's yours. So when I want it, no, that's yours. If you don't want it, don't put your hand on it. But people will do it, especially kids, and they don't know. But this was a kid. I made them eat it too. Like, I had to go tell the parents on them. I'm a tattletale. So I'm like, he just touched this. I told you don't touch it. So you have to watch kids, because they don't know. But the thing of it is, they don't always wash their hands like they should, and you know, whatever. So the best thing to do, so you don't have to fuss at a child on your little, you know, occasion. You don't want to make them feel bad. Just wrap it up, right? Put it in a container. And so they can pick up the container. That's a very good tip. All right. Now, Shelly, I know you and your girls went on a trip, right?
Yes, we did. We did. We went to the Golden Isles in Georgia. Specifically, there are 5 sea islands in Georgia. We went to St. Simon's Island, and it was absolutely beautiful. And my sisters and I went, and my niece.
I see you with your hat. I love that hat.
Yeah, I wore my son's hat. Yes, my girlfriend had some hats for sale, so I wanted to get that so I could wear them on the beach. And so this is my sister Daphne and my sister Cassandra. And we were on the beach that day, and we just loved the beach. The beach was the sand was very wide, and we just loved it. It was a beautiful setting. It was hot, but it wasn't Texas hot. So yeah,
and it's a difference.
A big difference. It was not as humid. And when we were walking on that day, we saw a lady coming off the beach, and she said, "Oh, it's just too hot out here." And I'm thinking to myself, I told my sister, "It is not hot out here. This is not Texas heat." So it was very nice. We had a great time. Okay, Johnny, Pastor Johnny, the next slide. Oh, now this, we all love this. We wore all white to a restaurant that was an oceanfront restaurant.
Yeah.
And we sat out on the patio. We had our dinner. As it got dark, the moonlight set over the water.
Wow.
And it was so beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so we took a lot of pictures, of course, and we met a lot of people. There were a lot of fun people at the restaurant that night. And it was so funny. This a lady jumped in one of our pictures. She said, "I have to take a picture with these queens." And yeah, so we just had a great time. Okay.
Yeah.
Next picture, Pastor Johnny. Oh, now this was Jekyll Island. This is another sea island, and this was called Driftwood Beach. And on Driftwood Beach, there are a lot of dead trees that have washed up from the ocean, and they are all along the coast, and it is really amazing to see all of those trees out there, and it's very scenic. So we sat there and we took pictures. We sat there for a little while, and we met a couple from that also came from Atlanta, Georgia. So we talked to them. We met them, and we talked to them. And then also, one little girl was in the water, and her dad told us to not get in the water because there was a shark. They saw a 3 foot, not a big shark, about 3 feet. And so he suggested that we not get in the water, but it was amazing.
He's got a mama somewhere. If he's that little, he's got a mama or daddy somewhere.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, next picture, Pastor Johnny. Oh, this was, I think, our favorite part. We went on a Dolphin boat tour. Yes, we went on a Dolphin boat tour. And we were looking for dolphins. And the person that talked us through the whole tour said normally only 1 out of 10 trips do they even see any dolphins. We saw about 5 of them.
Wow.
Yes, and it was so much fun seeing the dolphins jump up in the water and blow out through their blowhole. And it was such a beautiful day. Again, it wasn't extremely hot. And the guy told us that Jekyll Island used to be an island only for very wealthy people. The Rockefellers and J.P. Morgan Chase, they basically bought the island. And after World War II, they didn't even go back. So that's when it was taken over by the citizens. And now, everybody can get there. And it used to be only accessible by ferry.
Oh, wow.
But now anybody can go. They have this huge causeway and you can drive there. It was absolutely beautiful. Oh, and also there's a lot of African-American history too, because the last slave ship to come to Georgia, which was called the Wanderer, docked on Jekyll Island.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we learned a lot of African-American history as well. But it was an amazing trip. We had a great time. It was just great being away from, your normal scenery and to see something beautiful and to be with my sisters and my niece. It was just an amazing time. We had a great time.
Great.
Yeah.
I love those trips like that too, because you don't have to dress up. You just throw something over a swimsuit, be very casual. I wrote down a couple of tips that I noticed from watching your pictures that I wanted to share with everybody. And one of them is hats. Those big hats, I have several different colors. And the thing about those big hats like that, you can't mess them up. You can fold them up under your arm, twist them around, put them in your little bag or whatever. But when you take them out, they take their shape and they keep your sun out of your face and keep you from getting sunburned. So if you're gonna go to the beach, definitely a hat.
Have a hat. Yeah.
Now the next thing I noticed that mostly all of y'all had braids, I believe. So you want to make sure your hair, you don't have to worry about your hair. So you need to make sure that you got braids that you can do several things with, or even carrying wigs, because you don't want to get there and have to worry about what your hair is going to look like on the pictures, right?
Right.
And I like the little scarves y'all had too. You kind of wrapped them up, so you can get the braids up to make them down. I'm gonna give me a couple of those.
Yeah, get them off your neck. Yes.
Yeah, definitely off your neck if you're gonna be in the. So I'm gonna get me some of those. That's one thing that I hadn't done before, but I'm gonna have to get me some of those. It looked like they were stretchy. Are they stretchy things?
I think so. I think some of the fabric was stretchy. One of my sisters, I think one of hers was stretchy fabric. But you're right, Lady Oak. You do not want to be worrying about your hair getting wet and having what am I going to do with it tomorrow? So, yes.
Right. Right. Yes. That way you can look cute and bring it up, bring it down, whatever you need to put it. The next thing I want to say is, guys, one of the things that you want to do if you go on trips, don't be cheap. You need to pay for some excursions, because that's where you really get to have some adventure of something different. And you said you saw the dolphins. We paid for a whale ride, and to actually be out there, they know where the whales are. There were whales all around us, coming the tails down. We even saw a baby one. And so those are things, that you just cannot do on your own. So pay for excursions. Don't pay for a lot. Pick and choose the best ones. So I wanted to say that one. Now, caution I wanted to put from yours is that be careful who you talk to. Don't give them your information. Say, well, where are you all staying? If you're on a girls trip, Oh, we're staying over at the Holiday Inn or the Ritz-Carlton or wherever. Oh, really? Why don't y'all meet us for whatever? And you meet people, and so you have to be careful because, you know, I was looking at one of my ID stations the other day, y'all know I love, and the Holloway girl, remember the teenagers, the seniors who went on their senior trip?
Oh, yeah.
And they were out in the nightclub just having fun. Tons of teenagers, you know, tons of seniors. But somebody, I think, slipped something in her drink when she wasn't looking. And she was being friendly with all the male guys that are on the islands, the locals. And I don't know if they ever found her body. But they tried.
I don't think they did. They never did find her body.
They never did. And the locals covered up for, they knew who did it, but they covered up because it was one of the, this is hearsay, I don't know this for sure. This is what I heard, that one of the politicians or somebody, the son, was the person who did it, and they covered up for that guy because he was a local, and they finally had to go home without their daughter. So be careful who you talk to, and if you have a drink, do not leave it laying around. Okay, look out for each other and expect that somebody might be trying to do something or maybe watching you that you don't see. So don't tell them where you live. Don't tell them your room number. Keep that stuff personal. All right. Let's see, Tracy, you took a trip recently. Where'd you go?
Yes, ma'am. We went to Los Angeles, California.
Woo!
Yes, I was so excited. Had never been to Los Angeles. I've always dreamt of it, and so we had a chance to go. So the picture that you see here is, you know, and I'm like Shirley, it's not a vacation or Tisha. Somebody said this, unless you're around water. And so we went to Santa Monica Beach.
I love it.
Y'all, the water is not like Galveston's water.
No, it's a totally different color.
It is clean water, and y'all, it was the most tranquil moment. I just laid in the sand and watched the water and watched the birds. And as hot as it doesn't really get hot in California, but the sun just hit me right there in the beach. Yeah. But I was able just to relax, and it was a different type of relaxation. So that water was amazing. I mean, absolutely. My son, y'all, he takes everything to the next level. So he went in the sand and the water, and we just had a wonderful time. But if you ever get a chance to go to California, you must go to Santa Monica Beach. Actually, if y'all ever watched Three's Company, that's where they filmed that beginning of it, where they're riding the bikes to come in.
Oh, wow.
That's where they filmed it.
Wow.
Right there at Santa Monica, the Santa Monica Beach. And there's a pier there too, so they have rides at the beach as well.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, so it's awesome.
Well, that's where we went for the Galveston, for the see the whales.
Yeah.
Here in Santa Monica, we took off there and went way out to see the whales. There's so much to do. Santa Monica is really, really great.
Right. Yeah, and beautiful homes right off the beach. So
yes.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, California is expensive, but wow, to have a home off of my Santa Monica Beach must be living.
Yes.
Really
wow.
living. Yeah. Now our next place we went with, my son, I let him pick a few places, so he wanted to go to Universal Studios.
Yeah, and she's got a teenager, guys. So those that are traveling teenagers know they like water and the beach. Let them choose. That's a good idea.
Yeah, he had to get on some rides, but the part that I enjoyed, he enjoyed the rides. I let him do all the rides he wanted. Bought him the express pass because it was worth it. So when you go to Universal Studios, word to the wise, get an express pass where you can get in front of the line.
Yeah,
it's a little pricey, but it's expensive. Otherwise, he would have waited 2 and 3 hours for each ride. It wasn't. It wouldn't. I didn't want to wait that long. So one of the things I enjoyed was
I think that's a very good tip that I did not know all these years, that you could pay extra money and skip the line. Because here's the deal: if you have to wait for hours for every ride, then you're not going to be able to ride but maybe like 4 things.
Right.
Think about it. You skip the line, you can ride 10 or 12 things. So it's worth the money. Okay. Thank you for that tip. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sure. Oh yeah. He maximized it. And I wanted to make sure, like you said, when you plan these trips, You have to think about those type of things because it can make or break your experience. And I wanted him to ride everything he could ride. But my husband and I did a tour of Universal Studios, and that was probably the best part for us because we had a chance to look at how movies are made, where they're made, some of the props, and the history. Talked about like movies like Gone with the Wind, Casablanca. We did they put us inside of this little capsule where we did like a simulation for Fast and Furious, the new one that just came out this summer. So just seeing where the movies are made and how they're made, absolutely amazing. And just how it's evolved over time, you know, because even with the technology and everything. So just going to that tour and seeing that was an amazing American history.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right, and the next one, y'all, you know, you cannot go to LA without going to Roscoe's.
Yes.
Now, you know, I made a mistake. I'm gonna confess it to everybody here. I made the mistake of ordering biscuits at a waffle place. So my son and my husband love the waffles and chicken. I decided to do something different, and I didn't really like it. And I should have stuck with the chicken and waffles too. So, but we had a great time. Yeah, we did. We had a good time at the restaurant. But that came highly recommended. Everybody said you cannot leave unless you go there.
Right. A tip for on yours, Tracy, is if the place specializes in waffles, waffles. Don't be trying to say, well, I know that specialty is this. I think I'm gonna try. I did that one time too, went in a place and then things where you know they're not good at cooking like that. I wanted grits and I was in another place and they were like, grits? I said, yeah, do you have grits to go? We can make them. That was my cue right there. They don't even know what grits are. So why would I want to order grits to the menu? So they bring me back that stuff is like soup. And then I got to send it back because I'm like, I'm about to get sick. I cannot have these grits that are running all over my plate and my eggs. So if they say they specialize in it, get the specialty. All right.
Right. Yep. Those it tasted like those canned biscuits. I said, "Oh my God, what?"
Because they don't specialize in them. They don't care. Wow.
So, I think the next picture was the red carpet. So when you go to, I'm going back to Universal Studios, but when you go to the Universal Studios, they roll out the red carpet right there. So you can take pictures. Right. It's like you're a star, you're a celebrity. Yeah. So yeah, we had our moment of celebrity. So I enjoyed that.
Wow. Oh yeah. That's your car?
I don't even of course.
You know I love yellow.
So you know the other point is you cannot go to LA without going to Rodeo Drive.
Yes.
No, I didn't buy a thing. My husband's so proud of me. I didn't buy one item, nothing. But I went to every single store on that strip. But this one stuck out because this was sitting right in front of, I think it was Bijan or some designer store or something. And when I saw it, I said, Mike, we got to take a picture in front of this car. It is absolutely beautiful. So
what kind of car is that?
That's another thing too, Tracy. Find expensive cars, expensive things, and get in front of it and take a picture. People think that, y'all, my battery's running low. I don't know what passed. Y'all keep talking. I got to see. I think my plug came out.
Yeah, but yeah, I said, you know what? I'm gonna capture the moment. They got it sitting out here. Yeah, my husband was kind of like, I don't know if we can take it. I said, yeah, we can take it. Let's hurry up and get over there and we'll take it. So I actually wanted to get inside of it.
I know. Now, what kind of car was it, Tracy? Is it a Lamborghini or what? What kind of car was it?
I think it was a Bentley.
Oh, a Bentley. Ooh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, cool.
Yeah. So, and everybody else was looking at us like, y'all not supposed to do that. And I'm like, well. We didn't have a sign up saying don't, so I just did. Let me have fun with it. But that was our trip. It was amazing. I will go back. The only thing about it is LA. Y'all know LA is as high. I felt nickel and dimed on everything.
On everything, yeah.
So
okay, all right, Flair, you ready? Thank you, Tracy. Thanks for sharing.
Those were really all right. Okay. I want to share Flair. Come on, Flair, because my battery. If I have to leave, my battery runs out. y'all just continue on. Okay, Flair, tell us about. Oh, Flair, you looking all cute there. Where is that?
Thank you. Okay, I do mother and daughter trips. We like to travel together. Yeah. So that's my daughter. And later you talked about the hairstyles where you see both of us. We don't have to worry about the hair.
Okay. I love it. Talk a little bit louder.
So we went to Savannah. I had a girlfriend I worked with in Abu Dhabi, and we became very good friends. She lives in Savannah, so there's a lot of history in Savannah. I did not know that when I got there. And our trip to Galveston kind of correlated with this trip to Savannah. I learned a whole lot going to Savannah. You can pull up, and that right there was one of the fountains in the main square where they used to go to the slaves and everything. This is the church, the first African Baptist church in Savannah. It was built by freed and enslaved blacks.
Yes.
And that's what they took pride in. You know, whites had nothing to do with it. It was built with the freed money and the slaves, and they did everything. So that was the church that was built there. And it's in the—
I've been to that one before too.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I didn't go in it because it was closed like the other one. It was closed.
Oh, we went into worship. We talked to the pastor.
Really?
Yeah, they talked about how the slave women would bring mud inside their apron and bricks inside their apron up to build it. So all the slaves contributed to building the church. I just got chills. It's amazing.
Yes, they did it themselves, and it was amazing to see it.
Their own money.
Yeah, and then the other one, the next one, John, you can show because we don't have a lot of time. The next one, I got to go to Savannah State University. It's it was a historically Black university, and I had never been there before, and it's a built up. My girlfriend told me when she went there many years ago, one building here, it is a beautiful campus right now. It's a beautiful campus.
Wow.
I really enjoy walking the campus. Went to the bookstore, bought a few things. It was really nice. And there we are again, mother and daughter, having us a good time together.
Yes.
And the next one, what is that one? River Street. It's almost like going to, I just forgot my thought, French Quarters in New Orleans. And what this is where, when the slaves came into Savannah, this is where they brought them through. And we actually got to see where they were. We got to see some of the caves that they put them in. They were still there. So we got to see all of that. And this is the place where they came in when they brought the slaves over and into Savannah.
Yeah. Now I want you to slow down because I'll let you go all the way to the end with yours, because Savannah is so critical to all Black people because most of the slaves came in that way. We went on this same tour. So I want you to talk about that. I saw some comments from somebody by Gullah. You got to know what Gullah is, okay? If you're Black, you know what Gullah is. Go ahead, Claire.
Actually, we were there for Juneteenth celebration. So we had a feel of Juneteenth this year. We were there. So here we were on Tybee Island, and they were having a Juneteenth celebration. So I actually got to hear, it's the Gullah Geechee people, and I actually got to hear them doing their drumming and their music. And I heard one of the historians telling a story, and I didn't put that in here, but she was telling a story about all this African tribes that came in and how they came in and how they came to this place and they were just so in awe at what was about to happen. And it was so interesting to hear her talk about the story of the tribes that came through and to hear the drums that was used on the island. So it was fantastic. And I didn't know that Savannah was pretty much a Black area at one time. My girlfriend said when she was there, when she lived there, she's from there. She said she didn't see white people until she almost went to college.
Wow.
They weren't there. They were not there. Now they're all over. They're all over. But she said she didn't see white people for a long time.
Well, they kind of stayed on their sides. They were very, very, very segregated. Yeah. So Blacks that quote unquote stayed in their spot and places. Right. But go ahead. Tell me about your other pictures. I want you to finish your presentation.
The last one. Is there another one, Johnny? I'm not sure.
No, I think that was it, Flair. That was it. That was the last one.
Yeah. So that pretty much, we did the Tybee Island. We saw talk about the Gullah Geechee people. And then,
and stop right there. You got to tell people what the Gullah Geechee people are. Because when we went there, we were looking for tours. And one of the Black people asked us, we want to go on the Gullah tour. We're like, what is a Gullah tour? What is Gullah? Like, you don't know what Gullah is? So explain to us what that is.
It's basically the people, there were the African slaves that were brought there. And they said they came from the rice regions of West Africa. And that was the crop that they pretty much used when they brought the West Africans over here. And that's what the name that they were called. And that was their island.
It was right. It's kind of like a region where they live, Gullah. And it's the Gullah people. They were the African people that were in the island. Now, here's something real quickly that I learned about that, because we spent a lot of time there, a lot of money. We went on one of the slave plantations, connection tour. We actually spoke to some generational people whose parents worked the slave plantation that we were on. But the part that I really liked, we went to one of the Gullah Islands, and the people whose ancestors owned that island still live there. So they took us over in a boat to the island, saw the cemetery for all those slaves. But let me tell you quickly the story that happened there in Savannah, that they bought the slaves there to work the rice plantations. Not the cotton, not the tobacco. It was the rice plantation, because they didn't know how to do rice. So when the Africans got over here, they were doing the rice so well. We went on a lot of those places too. But then malaria, the mosquitoes started to bite, and they started the white people could not take it, so they were dying out. And so they said that the white planters literally left those plantations. And they left them in the hands of the slaves, because the slaves were surviving and they knew how to do the rice. But here's what happened. Because they had not taught them to read and they were not educated, they didn't know what to do with it. All they knew how to do was to grow the rice. They didn't know the business part of it. They didn't know how to manufacture it, all that kind of stuff that needed to go on. So they lost a lot of it, or they weren't able to get the wealth that the white planters had, because they didn't know how to do the business part of it, and then nobody else would do business with them because they were slaves. But it was just so amazing. And I saw someone on here who's this Maya, who says she went to the first African American school was there. Colleges began there. It's a lot to do with education there, and we went over to see the first school too. So I would highly recommend this trip for people who love to know where they came from, and to take their children, because there's so much to glean from that area. And they also, on one of the islands, the Gullah Islands, they were trying to buy them out by raising the taxes and so forth. So they were going to court for that. But I don't want to say it was Budweiser, I'm not sure. One of the big corporations had their people, their company there. And so when they left the mansion and so forth. So you can, but that's what I wouldn't do it. You can rent that place out and stay in. It's a big, huge mansion. Let it out, and the Gullah people will, cook for you or whatever. But they were just saying that, some people say there are ghosts there and that kind of stuff. I don't know if I want to stay on the island over there.
A lot of places were ghosts. that they believed that the ghosts were there.
They did. And I'm like, and then they had a big area where the crocodiles and everything, they said people have come up lost and missing. They see those alligators, like, okay, let's just go ahead.
Lady, we went to, Maya was talking about the Harrington School, and it was a school for African American children on St. Simon's Island. And we met a lady that was a descendant of the Gullah people, and she actually wrote a book about the Gullah Geechee culture. So it was amazing to hear her story and the story of her family. And we also saw the church there too that was built by slaves.
So a lot of places to visit, guys. Our time is up, but I tell you, I have enjoyed talking about traveling. And like I said, this pandemic is not going to keep us down. If you have to go, be safe and be aware that we are not in the times we were before, but everybody can get away. Don't stay cooped up in your house, and emotionally and mentally you become distraught and you don't make it through this time together. If you have to set up a vacation in your backyard, your front yard, or go to Galveston or go to a park, do that and make sure that you get out of that house and enjoy the world that God has given us so that we may all be better when we come through this pandemic. So happy vacationing, and we will see you later next week at 3 for Tea with Lady O. It's been my pleasure. See you next week.